videos to do, but the car is absolutely beautiful. Like additional features with this exterior pack, black grille, this one's got side steps on it. But the car is in beautiful condition. Lights and lenses, you can see they're completely clear and intact. It's sort of speckled with rain now, unfortunately, but trust me, the bodywork's lovely on the car. Just the odd, tiny light stone chip. I mean, you have to look very, very hard to find one. Near side of the car, really clean on the panels, no indentations. Minor, in fact, I can't see any curving on the alloys there at all. Camera on the back of the car. Hopefully I can not talk quite so much on this video just because it's so windy. Coming into the boot area now, it looks absolutely wonderfully kept back here. Obviously CRVs are estate cars in effect, so they do get used a lot, but this one's hardly been used at all in the back. We're inside the car now, blissfully away from the gales outside because 50-mile-an-hour plus winds today. It's quite a blustery day to say the least. See there, sat nav working absolutely perfectly. If I go to the top screen there as well, put the car into reverse, get that clear gridded parking camera as well. Dashboard looks pretty much as new in here. It's in lovely, lovely condition. Obviously got a dual zone climate control system, different temperatures side to side. It's just been kept absolutely beautifully. We go in there for you, hopefully you can see 56,821 miles, and apart from a low fuel light there are no warning lights on the dashboard at all. Steering wheel looks pretty much as new in hand and feels it as well. The video, honest, gloomiest and wildest of days, will not do justice to the interior of this car at all. Just to quickly show you, owner's manual pack and lock and wheel nut key are both here and present with the car. Right then, this is a quick road test video, and this is for a Honda CR-V, and it's the 2.2 litre Black Edition model. The car is registered SW14YBN and mileage is 56,815 miles. The reason for doing the video is very simple indeed. We're aware that people travel huge distances to come and see our cars. So what we like to do is to take videos of the cars we're advertising online, and it's the very car you're seeing, so we can feedback any issues there might be which would manifest themselves whilst you test drove the car. We know just how frustrating it can be to go and see a car which looks great in description and photographs, only to get there to find out, you know, it has got an issue which you clearly should have been told about. So that's why we do it. The road test is also done on part of the road test route any prospective buyer would go on. Reason for that is so it gives, it should be representative rather, of what you would feel yourself if offered a test drive in the car. So coming to the car itself, very well looked after vehicle. Engine starts absolutely instantly and settles to a lovely, smooth, even idle. No warning lights on the dashboard at all relating to the engine or any other part of the car, aside from a low fuel light currently on the vehicle. Temperature gauge running at a third, and the car's been running for well over an hour now, so it's up to full operating temperature, and that's exactly where it should be on a Honda car, whether it be a petrol or a diesel. The engines themselves are wonderful, wonderful units, because it's got everything about the car and the engine that you'd want on a good diesel. So it's smooth, it's reliable, it's very, very refined. very long lasting, and it's just a pleasure to use day in, day out, because unlike some turbo diesels, which can be quite frustrating engines actually, they can be have a lot of turbo lag where you put your foot down, nothing happens, then all of a sudden you get a rush of power and then it tails off. This has got a lovely broad spread of power, which means the car's ideally suited for family use. So with one on board, that kind of the previously mentioned engines don't suffer too much, but as soon as you put a lot of weight in or your tow, they can be very frustrating indeed. But these are lovely, lovely units, and I've owned many of them. I have one in my current car. Cam chain driven, no cam belts to worry about on the Hondas. They're designed effectively to last the life of the engine, and we've not changed one on a DTEC engine ever. Engine then feeds through clutch and into gearbox. Clutch on the car, absolutely perfect. Light, smooth, positive in actuation, and bite point is exactly where it's meant to be, so all fine there. Gearbox 6-speed, and an absolutely brilliant gearbox in every sense of the word, because as with the engine, it's tough, very long lasting, so much so we've never put a spanner on the internals of a gearbox on a CRV of this type, but it's actually the way it, again, is daily use. Honda do gearboxes brilliantly because they give you a wonderful quality of gear shift. For some manufacturers, they seem to think when you've got an SUV, it's an opportunity to cut corners, give you a kind of truck-like gearbox. But this couldn't be any different or any more different, because this would happily sit in one of Honda's sportier cars. It's short in throw, it's precise, it's wonderfully accurate, and this synchromesh is absolutely stunning on it. It's a lovely, lovely gearbox to use, and I can't feel anywhere in it at all. There's nothing. The steering of the vehicle, again, has always been a strong point on the CRVs. It's precise, it's very accurate, it perfectly dialed to the chassis and matched to the chassis, so it's not overly quick where it's too unsettling, but it's not slovenly. It hits the sweet spot perfectly, and again, I can't feel any wear through the steering. It just feels lovely and tight and taut on the road. So drivers always check them on the motorway for us to make sure there's no sort of speed wobble, and there's nothing. Track's dead straight, and as said, up to the legal limit on the main roads here, there's no sort of shimmy or wobbles at all. It's all exactly as it should be. I'm going to do the brakes at this point here because it's kind of the halfway point. It's a good opportunity, so I'm going to give them a bit of a shove and leave that a bit later than normal. That's a nice solid brake pedal on the car. Again, good bite from them, nice and powerful. No vibrations or pulsing coming back through the brake pedal, and it pulls the car up nice and straight and true as well. Chassis of the vehicle, coming back to this or steering and chassis side, Honda know this market so well because the CRV is the best-selling SUV in the world, so they obviously know what a huge amount of customers want from their cars, and what it gives you is a really comfortable, compliant ride, beautifully damped, but one that really has excellent body control through the corners, and I'm talking like tight corners, medium corners, quicker corners. So quicker corners like this, going a little bit quicker than normal, you don't get huge amounts of body roll or body motion. It holds its line really, really nicely. And then you go through kind of a medium speed corner like the one coming up here, again a little bit quicker than I would do normally, just to push the car, turn in, just a complete lack of fuss. And that's particularly important for passengers, and the rear seat ones in particular, so they don't get the kind of motion going on, because they might not have their eyes on the road, which can sort of be quite nauseating. Just brilliantly done. Also, whilst driving the car, I'm just listening out for any kind of chatterings or knocking noises from the suspension that shouldn't be there, and there's nothing at all. Absolutely as tight as a drum. It really, really is. Looking around inside the car, it's not been cleaned yet. It's about to go off for a clean any second now, and it's lovely in here. And they are beautifully, beautifully built cars. They really, really are. No squeaks, no rattles, no buzzers from the trim. They are sensationally well made. Also happen to be a lovely place to sit. Brilliant driving position and visibility, front and rear and all around. You tend to get that with most SUVs, in fairness, but they Honda do it very nicely indeed. But the dashboard itself is simplicity itself to use. It's very well equipped, but it's very, very easy to come to terms with. Obviously sat nav on these models. You've got auto lights, auto wipers, cruise control, which works perfectly on the car, by the way. All the buttons pressed work exactly as they're intended to. Air conditioning was checked in a nice warm workshop earlier, and that's blowing out lovely cold air. But yeah, all working exactly as intended. But it's just, when you get into these things, when you press the buttons, the quality of the switchgear is brilliant, which is why you could be sitting in one here now, done 150, 200,000 miles, and it still feel pretty much the same inside. They age so brilliantly well, so well assembled are they. This is a four-wheel drive vehicle. There is an absence of a four-wheel drive button because it does it all for you, because basically Honda worked out very quickly that most people would be driving as I am in perfectly good conditions, so it basically runs in front wheel drive, two-wheel drive the whole time. That's the most efficient way to pull a car along. Only as and when it needs to go into four-wheel drive, it'll do so automatically and utterly seamlessly. So if you're on snow, ice, bit of mud, the front wheels will momentarily lose a bit of grip, but instantly the car recognises it, brings in the four-wheel drive. It's a bit like having a shove in the back. It's just so effective. Its simplicity also gives it its reliability, because we've never so much as put a spanner on one of them. It's an incredibly tough system, and by dint of that, far less tyre wear and fuel used than comparable more basic sort of permanent four-wheel drive systems. As I said at the start of the video, the point is literally just to show the car in operation, but to feedback on any issues, of which there are none at all. And I've spent many years, over 25 years, selling Honda cars, so I know them very well. And this drives as literally as tight as a nut. It really is very nice indeed. As always though, if you've got any questions about the car, don't hesitate, do give us a call.